I move that the minutes be approved as written.
Second.
Any corrections, deletions, revisions? There are none, those in favor? All right. Selectmen's comments. Tom?
Yeah, so we submitted our final grant report for the Get Ready grant and bought the last piece of net equipment that we use that grant for, so that should be installed next week. Been working on cleaning up the website and been working with Kim and we spent some time over at the town hall doing some deep cleaning because it's really hard to find stuff right now, so. And the fridge magnet project is almost ready to go to the printer. Finally, so hopefully I'll have a sample to share with everybody next time.
Are we doing a mailing party?
Yeah, well, probably.
Yeah. Can you explain what that is?
What's that?
But can you explain what that is?
So we got a grant as part of a community resilience grant about a year, 9 months ago, to create an emergency action plan for the town, 1, and 2, to distribute to residents of the town information about resources related to things like resources for medical resources and safety, public safety resources, and basically a fridge magnet that has like 911 and 211 and all those other things, you know, community things. Public Safety Committee came up with the content for that, and so we're going to send that out this month, hopefully, or early next month. That's it.
Allison?
Nothing.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, don't have a heart attack.
We have to go reset. We have to go reset.
Nothing.
She looks like Allison.
Somebody's inhabited her body.
Dale?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank David for all the time that he puts into this place and make it look like it does so we can come here.
Yes, Dale's right, David, and then I think Sean and Jenny Lindsay were here on Saturday doing some sprucing up mowing, and David, I know you spent a lot of hours down here last week. Today, we do thank you for that. The only thing I have is I have not heard from Kristen about the Williams Family Cemetery update that we talked about as far as the appointment of a caretaker thing or whatever, so stay tuned for that, but that's all I got.
Just to clarify what everybody's talking about, we've discovered that there's an ancient burial ground on Mountain Road, up where right next to where the school was, at Mountain Road School.
Near it, yeah.
And supposedly there are Civil War and Revolutionary War people buried it. So by state law, we have to do some kind of recognition, but we're trying to figure out exactly what we have to do, and because it's on private property nowadays, so that there is access granted to it. So we're working through that. And the only thing I wanted to again to thank Sean and Jenny for mowing. You guys did a great job. You saved me having to do it today. That was good. And that's all I have. Public comments. Anybody from the public? If it's something on the agenda, please wait to come up. Otherwise, anybody? Okay. Town administrator's report. Kim.
So Jason, it's on the agenda, but do you want to wait under new business for bank reconciliation for that?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay, that's fine. So we are having a recount for elections on the Democratic State Senate District 24 between Chepler and Gazette. The ballots are going to be picked up tomorrow by the state police, and we're also handing the ballots from Rousick. The town clerk is going to be out of the country, so she's dropped off the ballots, and that will be handed over to the state police tomorrow. I've called all the applicants for the part-time counter clerk position, and I'm waiting to hear back from them to schedule interviews. Depending on their availability, I'm trying to get them Monday the 24th starting at 3, and then we are going to start evaluations on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So I haven't heard back from any of the applicants. Hopefully I can get some time in on Monday. I'll let you guys know.
So is it the board's intention to meet after the interviews to work on our executive session?
Do it after or before, which is easier for everybody.
Well, I just go forward, but it might be easier for you.
You're too early,
I
but
can do either.
whatever you want to do, but you don't have anybody lined up yet.
I don't have anybody, well, I had one person reach out to me and she's not available on Monday, but she can come in Wednesday, the 26th, which is evaluation, and I scheduled her for 2:30. And she was fine with that, so if you guys can make it by 2:30 on Wednesday, the 26th.
Right, but how long do we need? How long do we need to do what we need to do? Obviously, the deadline's Friday for the self-evaluations, and then we have to do executive.
Will we have those when we meet on Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
And do we have a form, we're using the same form?
We can use the same form.
Okay. Just,
That is not me.
Does it-
well, if it's easier.
Well, whatever you guys want to do, you can just want to decide later in the week.
Well, it especially sounds like we're only gonna have one, I mean,
What-
we're gonna have one interview on Wednesday,
Yes,
so.
that's the only one I've heard back from.
But she could potentially hear back tomorrow or something.
Correct, I can hear back from the other three.
And so you want to,
So we're gonna have 3 people, so what would be a good time to start interviews?
What?
so I think we'll decide the interviews at 3.
We thought three.
So you,
On Monday,
3,
the 24th.
and we're probably gonna spend, what, 15, 20 minutes on each one, right?
yeah,
So why don't we do that?
All right,
all right, over to you, Allison.
yeah.
Well, we'll know more in a day or two, right?
Okay, yes,
You
yes, I'll let you guys
You'll
know.
publish that agenda later in the week.
Yep,
Okay.
and then the only thing I have left is Seacoast will be here tomorrow to fix the camera, on the fire department for the, parking lot, so. Cause that was somehow disconnected when they were fixing the roof, so. They'll be here tomorrow.
Thank you. Road Commission, Jack.
We're running nothing, we're gonna technically pay next week, weather permitting. And we'll notify people the best we can to, the most difficult part is gonna be Fifth Point because it's narrow. It has to get him on pass. We'll let them know and keep them tuned up the best we can.
Anybody got any questions? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna jump down, we'll do the fire chief's report, then we'll go to the old business, and then we'll do the codes officer and EMS afterwards, because of the written reports I have here, so, Sean.
We've had 5 calls since June. The major one being a major accident last week on Middle Road. Happened to come in during our extrication training at the fire station. I had 21 people on the station, I had 20 people on scene in 4 minutes. So that was excellent turnout for that. Wanted to bring up the ceiling fans that I mentioned, Jason. We've got a ceiling fan at Central Station that hasn't worked for a year. I'd like to see if we can get that replaced. I don't know why you guys are up there, if they want to just do all 4 of them. There's 4 ceiling fans in the building. They really help to circulate air, keep, especially in the summer when it's cooling off. And, we crank them up when we have air that gets wet after any type of fire, any type of event that we have to wash. We'll crank the fans out to get it dry. I don't know if you guys want to do replace all of them or one or whatever, but I'd like to get that one fixed. And then if we can get a ceiling fan put up at the North Station, there's no airflow up there. We're noticing when we put that truck away, and we have our air packs that are wet from being washed. They're taking like over a week to dry. I'm almost getting kind of musty. There's no airflow. So I thought that would be a possibility to get done at some point in the summer. My other thing, safety work stuff, we turned in all but one thing today. I've got one final thing that Dan and I Kim to go over as far as the building emergency action plan. And then we will have everything submitted to Safety Works. And they'll come in do another meeting with us, and hopefully we can get that shape program finalized. And our second half of our education training is this coming Sunday morning. We're going to do a recap of the accident scene briefly, finish our classroom portion, and then we're going to cut up. We have four vehicles, it sounds like, that we'll be able to work on, practice on, training on. So Should be a great day of training. So, that's what I got.
Any questions?
Yeah, Sean, I've got an EMA question. Is there any plans from Saginaw County to activate cooling centers this week?
I got an email about that, they're monitoring that, but
So you don't
I'm
know?
not aware of any yet in county. I'm sure they'll check in again later in the week if it gets warmer. But I'm gonna keep an eye on the temps and we'll,
Would we make the town hall available?
yeah, we can, if we can do that, but, yeah. What, the warm day, what, Thursday?
Yes,
A
yeah.
hot day?
Wednesday and Thursday, I think. is the worst.
That is it? All right, Bruce, let's talk about the Kingsbury bulkhead.
For those who don't know me, I'm Bruce Montgomery, not on the agenda, I see, but I brought smarter people. We need Tim Forrester, who is in the business of designing waterfront stuff. Patrick Wright, who used to be a planter and gardener, and Larry Hobel, who is a butter to and me, of course. We're all residents of Kingsbury. I think you guys talked about this previously. As you know, this storm last winter really did a job on the bulkhead. It's been there, by my count, since 1750, more or less, taken care of by the town. Over the years, locals have done a lot as well, but the damage that's there now is really beyond our capability. Tim's got some pictures to describe what happened this winter. Maybe people can understand what's there.
Yeah, we'd like to look at it.
And if we could talk about what we can do to fix it, that's why we're here.
So hiring Tim Forrester, I live at 135 River Road, also an environmental consultant and do a lot of work on natural resource related projects all throughout the state. So here's some quick plans I pulled together as well as some photographs. There should be one for everyone. Actually, two people may need to share one copy of the plans. Probably start with the photographs first. So the cover page just shows, this was taken after the water had receded on the day of one of the days of the worst storms. You can see the entire bulkhead's underwater. It actually carries all the way up to where the asphalt ends. And that put the outer face of the bulkhead itself well over 2 feet underwater. We almost lost the ramp. Fortunately, a couple residents noticed it and tied it off. And what I don't have pictures of that I wish I did was the top of the bulkhead before we went back in and added some loam and seed just to patch it back in. But basically, material was just blown right out of the inside of the bulkhead itself. And that's not the worst. That's not the real issue here. If you turn the page, especially the bottom photograph, which is the north side of the wharf itself, you can see the old, what I would say would be the old original timbers, or very close to it.
The oldest ones that we know of.
Right. Some of them have completely blown out of the side, and rocks are pouring out of it. And this has been ongoing for a little while, but just this past year was really the icing on the cake, so to speak. We've had potholes in the deck over the years that we've been continuing to fill. Now that the sides are blowing out, we're losing the internal components of it.
What's in the internal? Is it?
It's a standard rock-filled crib.
Okay.
So a number of years ago, and Bruce can probably tell you what year it was, we redid the top 2 rows with some new pressure-treated timbers, 12x12 timbers.
Well, my history, 1975 was the first time we worked on it. At that time, the town provided, I think road commissioner came over basically with a backhoe, pulled stuff back. BIW donated timbers from the old launching ways that were close to the bridge, ways number 1 and 2. I don't think they know they donated it, but Bird Fall showed up with a truck with the whole 12 by 12 Western Pine line. And fixing up there, when using local labor, and as I say, town money.
Yeah.
And that was for the bicentennial, if you remember that, for the Arnold expedition reenactment stopped, came ashore, went up to the Garrison House, had a hot toddy and signed the proclamation. And John Chapman, excuse me, dressed up in period costume and brought the musket. After that, those timbers didn't last forever, and then around 2000, we rebuilding some more timbers, and we did by ourselves the very top one that you see there, which is new, and that's reusable. But the ones at the bottom, I'm guessing, the wharf used to be much bigger, but there's certainly no wharf there since 1750. I know that there's, in the mud, there's hemlock that is original, almost certainly. The lower ones, I don't know.
So these are all held together with pins that drive in through from one layer to the next layer. And I'm not sure if it's clear in any of the pictures, but the pins are just completely exposed. And there's literally not much holding the whole thing together. We also use, Jack Parker's kind enough to come down with his forklift to put our ramp and float, in the water every year. And it's getting to the point where he's not comfortable driving out on that. The front end of the forklift sinks in. So, and you can see the bow on the very face of it. The west-facing side is now starting to blow out where the ramp hooks onto. So I drafted some quick plans, the cover sheet with an aerial image, and I apologize, it's a little grainy on the image itself. But we show, starting from the water side, there's a faint green line, which is the approximate mean low water. And then your average high tide comes up to the bulkhead itself. Our current high tides do overtop. It's settled so much over time that it does flood on the typical highest annual tides. And then the red line shows the approximate location of where the tide level came up to on the big storms, which is the end of the asphalt. And it's an elevational. If you flip to the next page, the top is the existing conditions in a cross-section view. And there's a 2.1 foot grade change from one end to the other, from the asphalt down to the head of the wharf itself. So in looking at that and planning and figuring out what's the best way to fix this, really increasing that elevation by 3 feet will put us up over any predicted storm surge, give us a little bit of comfort room in the time being. It's even going out and looking at this stuff day in, day out, year out, it's hard to fathom when you're standing there the potential of how high that water can come. If you go down there and you stand by the flagpole, 4 feet is, it's just amazing to think that that's potentially where it needs to be.
So the picture on the front is when the tide went out? Like this one?
That was right after the peak of the tide during the storm surge. Yeah. So, I think from a perspective of what's there's some timbers that can be reused. The way these are constructed, it should be dug down, set into the bottom. There needs to be cross ties that connect everything. We can reutilize the old rock that's there. So we have some things in our favor. But it's a project. It's a big bulkhead, and it needs new timbers. I would personally like to see it done with new 12 by 12s, marine grade PT, to keep it as close to what it is now. I think to do it back in old timbers themselves, it would work, but to really do it right in the long run, maybe that's the better way to go.
Would the PT last as long as these other ones?
I don't know. I mean, you look at any of the materials today, and nothing seems to last as long as it used to.
I know, right?
Do you have any estimates of the cost of doing this?
Don't have an estimate yet. So, we can, it really depends on who's involved. and what we have for materials, but that is the next step to going forward. If the town is interested in doing this, happy to solicit some estimates. We're also, we'd like to research some of the grant opportunities that are available. I know Allison's probably familiar with some, and Tom, it sounds like you know a lot about them as well. It's not really my area of expertise. I'm typically working for people who want the work done, and I navigate the regulatory world. So I'm willing to, on behalf of our firm, Flycatcher, do all the permitting and everything else related to this project for the town.
So does this qualify for that new PBR, the permit by rule?
It
just
does.
because you're raising
Yep.
it? Okay.
Yep, so at the state level, we can replace it in kind with a permit by rule and raise the elevation and extend backwards as needed. We don't want to make the footprint any larger than it already is. It's a pretty big wharf. We could potentially make it a little bit smaller, but I think what's there now is good. The float sits on there, we can get down there. So it's good the size that it is.
Question for Tim. Tim, PPR means we don't need any special reviews and approvals, is that correct?
So there's 3 entities that have jurisdiction over structures like this. There's the Army Corps of Engineers, Maine DEP, and the Town of Woolwich. The Army Corps of the structure existed prior to 1969 when the Corps took jurisdiction. I actually worked on a project this year that was approved by the Department of War in 1948. The guy had the original permit from it, which was pretty neat. I'd never heard of that before. So I wouldn't expect anything from the Corps. The DEP has what's called a permit by rule process. It's an abbreviation of their Natural Resource Protection Act, and certain activities qualify under permit by rule standards, such as replacement in kind of structures. So there'd be a timing restriction. It's a shorter permit process. You submit it, they have 2 weeks to get back to you. If you don't hear anything, you're approved by default. And then at the town level, I would expect we would at least be going before the code officer for building permit to replace that.
What are you looking to do this season? Or?
I think it would be wonderful. Obviously, I think finances are going to be one of the big things. Larry Rebell's been looking into some of the grants. We'd love to explore all opportunities, but I know the SHIP grant right now, which I think is a potential for this. There's a 50% match there.
Oh, FEMA. Would FEMA have any funding for this? I mean, where it was usually one of the federally led emergencies.
I haven't approached them. I think some of their timing windows have already closed for getting funding on that. Yes.
So that's what I've heard, is that
Yeah.
if you get a grant from them, you're not going to see it until early next year.
I know plenty of people who have already gotten checks, but I think the opportunity to ask and apply for it, I think. But I know there's other sources out there. We'd love to explore more. It's just, Larry knows some about it, it's just not my area.
Well, I think I can safely say that we will lend the town's, voice to it as much as we can. I mean, any grant you can find, we do have some funds for match grants, but if the cost was more than what we could get a grant and our matching funds for, then we'd have to have a special town meeting to raise and appropriate any money.
Did anybody know the last time the town put any money into this?
We put some gravel in it a few years ago.
1975, $1,500 is what it cost. Then a couple, I guess, was this last year?
Last year,
I think we worked with Jason.
Yeah, 2 years back.
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
We tried to get ahead of some of the erosion, but clearly the waves were bigger than we were.
It keeps going up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some things.
So I think the last time the town spent money on it was probably 75.
From looking at the deeds of the properties down there, does anybody have any clue how much land the town owns? I mean, at one time, that was where they landed the ferry boat. So I can't imagine that that bulkhead was as big as it, it seems to me it would have been bigger to land a ferry boat and the train cars and freight wagons and all that.
It was far bigger if you go at low tide. It's kind of an interesting trip sometime. I recommend people do it, but you can see that it was easily 120 feet long, 150 feet long, about the same distance offshore. The road is a one-route road. I've got the original plat that shows that, which leads down. The bulkhead itself is about 30 feet wide, all filled material. And which I guess the town owns, that's not much land. But it's strictly like all the other public accesses in town, it's basically where the road meets the water. I don't think the town wants any land on either side, like I'm sure they do.
I certainly encourage you folks to look at any grants you can find.
My understanding, you want to talk about the ship grant?
Yeah.
One of them, look,
Yeah, one policy, okay. The ship grant, just to make it clear, the way these grants, at least the ones we've identified, operate, it would be the town that would be the applicant. I just want to make sure. Right, got it, okay. And then the ship grant program looks promising, although we've only done a preliminary look-see at the website, and we have to make some contacts. And we didn't want to do that without getting the kind of okay from the town that allows us to call up and ask questions and not have someone come back to the town and say, well, what's this all about? So
That's through is that DMR?
DOT.
Okay.
It's a DOT program, and we call it ship, small harbor or something.
small harbor improvement
Program. And it's a multi-step process. You have to submit a letter of intent, and then DOT reviews the letter of intent, and then there's a process that they go through, and then there's an application, and it's rolling funding, so that it's not an insignificant process, but it looks promising. But there is a one-to-one match. The one-to-one match can include funding, or it can include community labor, donated materials. We think it can include that, so that can ease the one-to-one grant opportunities that exists. So that's one of the things that we would be following up if it makes sense to the town.
Seems like the Brazilians are more program than those.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I definitely think, yeah. So, yeah, I'll make a motion that we support that research, outreach, whatever you folks need. Our attitude always is it doesn't, do whatever you gotta do, call up, find out, start the process. We haven't got that far yet, right? I mean, obviously, cost estimate, timing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would move that we authorize these folks or this group.
I'll second that. Tommy had a thought.
Discussion on the board?
Yeah.
Well, I think, there's also the resilience grant, community resilience grant program that I think this might fit into as well. So maybe we could activate the new committee, the Climate Resilience Committee, which we just deployed about a month ago, might be able to help research grants in the area of climate resilience.
Right.
So
That's through the governor,
that's through the
governor's office.
Yeah.
I'd certainly be in favor of that as well. Those in favor of the motion? Then I'd like to go ahead and see what you can find out there, and if you need support from the board, just let me know.
Thomas, is it okay for us to contact you relative to community resilience?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be helpful to follow up.
I think we're going to meet, that committee's going to meet soon, so let's connect and you can maybe come.
Okay, that'd be fantastic.
Do you know when the next round?
We don't qualify for the next Well, we don't qualify for the round that just happened because we just got the grant last year, but we will qualify for the next round. So
Is that this year?
I think it's the
Yeah.
Is the committee, is that a local committee or is that?
Yeah, it's the Town of Woolwich committee that we just chartered about 2 meetings ago. And they're looking
Are
for,
you
they're
interested?
looking for members.
I'd be happy to join, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, works perfect.
yeah,
Perfect.
great.
That was one of the concerns we had about getting ahead of ourselves, is figuring out how do we do business. You know, there's a phone number to call, but we can't just call them as individual citizens in the town. So it's helpful to get that support, or even know that this committee exists, and maybe it falls under that committee's work plan. One question that I'm curious, Dave, you said that there may be some funds to help as we're sort of building this out. It might be helpful to know, I know maybe not a specific amount, but the universe of the type of funds that would be easier to access without going to town meeting that's approved in this budget. I don't know if there's,
What we have is we have an article in the town report that authorizes us to use monies from the fund balance to match grants that we applied for.
And it's up to,
So,
remember how much it's
so
up
yeah, it's
to?
like 50,000, like 50,000. So if the fire department applies for a grant, or if there's some road guy or whatever, so that money is only used for that though.
and has that been expended this year so far?
No, the year doesn't
It
start.
didn't start.
Doesn't start for another few weeks,
Oh,
or in the next fiscal year.
okay.
July 1. So no. But
That's
if you
helpful.
need money in between, I don't know what we would do.
The only thing, we could apply, if they needed a small amount,
Right.
do some research or something, we go choose that contingency and then replace it when we get the grant and get the grant. I mean,
Right, we could-
We have a small contingency that the select board controls.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
And I think we have like probably 12,000 in it.
Well, we're starting a new
We're
year,
starting the new year.
right?
Oh, starting the new year?
Well, we're starting with.
Yes, in July it'll have,
And we doubled it, right? Did we double, did we go to 15?
well, you normally have 10.
But did we go to 15 or 20?
I thought we went
We waited
to
for-
15.
We normally have 10 every year, but we can always
You carried forward last year, so you have
And we
18.
could carry forward this year.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna carry forward this year.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Our treasurer.
I'm sorry, you're spinning that.
I guess what we're saying is if you need a small sum of money, like $1,000
Yeah.
under, for application fees, that sort of thing, from the town, we could do that.
Got it.
We're comfortable. We don't have $5,000 right now, or we don't have 10 or 20, but we could start the ball rolling. Quick question for you, Tom. Have we appointed these members to the committee, or are they?
No, we haven't.
So,
Do you know how many applicants have?
I believe I've only heard of one. I don't know if,
Yeah, so-
and I don't know if she's turned in her application yet or not.
Do you remember who it was? Okay.
Because she wanted to be on that committee and also, well, the new, I think it was that committee and then also the one that, that gentleman came and wanted to create that.
Well, that's what it is.
David,
Did-
first,
Yes.
he'll no doubt be, I mean, did you fill out an application? We didn't tell him what he had to do.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
oh, yeah.
We'll get it. This is a good impetus for us. to get it
Yeah,
going.
well, the first thing that committee has to do is go re-qualify the town for participation in that program, which we have to do every year, so they have some homework to do already without doing this grant.
But we have vacancies if we get some extra.
Yes.
We've got
And if you people are interested, we'd love to have more people on that committee.
5 or 2 alternates.
Is there an application process?
This is just a
An
form.
application that you pick up at the town.
Okay.
Is that an ad hoc committee for a certain fixed period of time, or is that sort of an
No, it's-
ongoing 2 years, 2 years?
Permanent committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, lifetime appointment.
Good prompt.
It's the way most things are.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you need any help, if you need something, contact Kim or Jason or I. And we'll help in any way to get the ball rolling. And see if we can't get that thing fixed.
I don't have any equipment, but I can move a shovel.
Thank you, Allison. Well,
Okay.
do what you can, let us know.
Thanks very much.
All right. You can always come back to another meeting and let us know where you're at.
Back it up for a minute, I'll do codes officer's report. Codes officer's report has been pretty steady. With codes enforcement work, it's on the 6 months. And 3 vendors were since June 3rd. There have been several calls for expansions, shoreline, and similar questions on the attended online subsurface wastewater training on June 25th, and the Mid-Coast CEO's annual meeting on June 26th.
Great.
Board EMS, just going to hit the highlights on this. The 18 calls in June, seeing 20 patients and transporting 11, providing mutual aid to Wisconsin twice, called on MC 1 4 times, and life flight once. They had training, classroom portion alongside of fire expedition training this past Wednesday. Classroom portion was cut short by call of an auto accident. And he said that his crew did a good job at that accident, and he attended a 2-day Maine EMS summit last week focused on community wellness. And you can read the entire text of this, the lengthy report if you want. Okay, anybody have anything else on the old business?
Actually, I have a small thing. The letter of support that for that internet broadband grant had the wrong grant program named in it after the consolidated called me up and said, oh, can you do it with a different brand name on it, please? So, can we sign that or send that instead? He said he could use the old one, but I'd rather use the new
All
one.
right, we've already motioned.
Yeah,
sure. Sign it. Okay. Anything else on the old business? Okay. Move on to new business. Bank
Reconciliation.
Discussion with the town administrator.
Yeah, Jason and I met last week and went over March and April's bank statements. We're looking pretty much the same as we did last year around this time, give or take. There are a couple of online paid for credit card issues that need to get corrected by the auditors, along with a small miscellaneous fund of cash, which equals out to about $38 in the bank's favor. So we're in the black, not the red. So we're doing good on that. And then we just have the May and June, so.
The what?
May and June, the bank reconciliation, which May I'm working on and June I won't get until the middle of July.
Are we closing early for the end of the fiscal year?
June 30th is on a Sunday,
Oh.
so Friday is the 28th, we close at 1 o'clock, so we'll just stay open until 1, and then I'll just do the end of the year. I'll probably be out of there by 3 or 4.
Okay.
So we should be all set. And all the bills have been turned in, everything that we signed tonight is the last of everything, and we're good to go.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and I did sign it. Kim went over detailed bank reconciliation. I think they were there and I did sign it.
Yes. Yeah, that's it for that, and I do have one other thing. Under new business that's not on there, because I just got it. So MMA's nomination for the legislature policy to elect 2 people, and you probably know both of them.
This was one at the end of.
Yeah, that's the one for MMA legislation.
So Justin Hennessy and
Mark Myers.
Myers. So
Yeah.
Justin, I think, is related to Juanita somehow.
Yeah, so
Mark Myers, I know.
Isn't her son?
Mark Myers. I think it's her son. Yes, it's her son.
I'm all related in some way, you know.
So we're gonna vote for these 2?
maybe look for 2, unless you want to nominate somebody else, Jason, you
No,
interested?
no, I'm not.
You what?
Not right now.
Yeah, you up for this? Yeah.
So it's up to you, if you want to do this tonight, if you want to.
I just vote for these.
Okay.
I don't know, I mean, we got.
Wait.
I would move that we vote for Justin and Mark.
They really show more.
Yeah.
I should do that.
That's right.
I'll second that. Those in favor?
A little tiny.
I have one final little thing too, I just realized.
I know they would say.
So, Kim, or the board, we all got a memo from Wayne, you reminded me about the, you need to schedule a meeting with the, at some point, we have to do it next week, but we need to get back to her, let her know that, like in late June, early June, or after.
Yes, so there's an email chain going between Dirigo and Juanita and myself that, you know, they finally showed up on Friday. We haven't seen them since February, December. So they have informed Juanita they have finally completed map 13. And Juanita feels that they're very far behind schedule. Justin's email to her and to me lately, or the last one, was that they promised that they would have everything entered by June 1st of 2025 and, you know, probably meet with us and the select board by June of 2025. So we're not gonna have the, you know, new tax or the new valuations until the tax year of 2026.
Oh, wait, but we don't set the commitment until September.
But it's what was there as of April 1st. So if they're not done till April 1st, nothing's gonna be entered into the computer until, yeah, so we're gonna go another year.
So would it be wise after the 4th or something, I know we have the meeting on the 3rd, right? But maybe, should we meet with them the second meeting?
We can, just to see where, you know, what schedule they're on.
That would be the 17th of July, right? So maybe we should-
Well, Juanita wants to meet with them on Friday because that's Justin's availability.
Okay.
Is, so if the board can meet with them sometime on Friday, and Juanita will make herself available as well.
Yeah, I think it's, okay.
So I figure probably not July 3rd.
Right, that's a Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Because the 4th, 5th, so the 12th?
Yep.
Want to do it?
You want to do that? That's
Yeah.
fine. July 12th.
She's asked for a meeting, if you
Yeah.
need to keep on talking about it.
Okay.
So meeting with Juanita or with you?
Both, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Juanita and Dirigo.
Joint meetings.
That's if they're available. I'll make sure I check that.
The only time I can't do is from 2 to 3 on Friday.
Yeah, well, later's okay with me. Oh, no, not 2 or 3. All right, well, whatever works.
Yeah.
I guess the question I would have with that, what you just said, is that going to meet with the contract that we have? Like, you know, are we changing timeline? Yeah, that's why I think.
I'm gonna have to look over it. It was just the email chain today,
Yeah.
and I had too much going on, so.
Well, hopefully the next, maybe the first one just took a long time and.
Yeah,
some-
because obviously there's an expectation from many of the folks in town that I think we were thinking of.
I figured everything would be completed by, as of April 1st of 2025, to be entered in the computer.
Then we go to commitment.
And then we would go to commitment, but how Justin worded it was like, wow, you know,
If we go off another year, that's going to probably.
it's gonna be,
upset
yeah.
some people.
So it might, yeah,
But anyway, all right.
well, I don't think they've
Wait and see, right? Wow.
done a lot in the last
There's a meeting.
8 months.
That's right. They might need to have a year. Yeah, right. I know.
We can put ours in.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, they all work with them.
But I'll set it up and hopefully we can, yeah, it would be very beneficial to get that prior to the 2026 tax year. Because that's gonna be,
Well, it's just hurts.
it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, it's gonna be-
Yeah.
All right, anything further from the board? Not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.